It's May the 1st, and here we are at Sydney Airport waiting for our Air Canada flight to Vancouver. From Vancouver Airport, we are taking the SkyTrain to the Vancouver waterfront, where we'll be staying at Fairmont Waterfront Hotel. We arrived at the hotel very early, so the room wasn't ready, so we decided to go and check out Capilano Suspension Bridge. This is a major attraction of Vancouver and is very impressive indeed. On the second day, we decided to explore Stanley Park, which included many attractions, including Vancouver Aquarium. And it turns out that the aquarium has more than just fish. Stanley Park itself had many attractions to be seen. We finished up walking 14 kilometres on this day. On the third day, which was our last day in Vancouver before boarding the cruise, we decided to go to Grouse Mountain, having heard many good things about it. It is a ski resort and even has 2 resident grizzly bears. There's Alison arriving back at the station. This is the famous Gastown steam clock. They call it a steam clock because it's run by steam. Well, how about that? Isn't that exciting? Today is the Vancouver Marathon. There's quite a crowd and it's a beautiful sunny day. The ship has arrived. We have a good view of all the activities on the dock from our hotel room. The journey has begun, and as you look out the back, you can see us heading away from Vancouver. We have arrived at Sitka, the first stop of the cruise. We are visiting the Alaska Raptor Center. Here they treat injured birds and then release them back into the wild. Now we are at the Fortress of the Bears, where the bears are left to roam freely in a natural surrounding. Looks like this fella has spotted a friend. The locals say that from July to September, these rivers are so full of salmon that you cannot see the water. We are now anchored at Anchorage. That must be the tugboat that brought us in. We're going to see the Alaska Zoo. Apparently this zoo started when the owner won a baby elephant in a raffle. Bye-bye Anchorage, now sailing towards Kodiak, our next destination. In this area there seems to be quite a few of these oil rigs, seen about 10 so far. Sailing towards Kodiak, we got this beautiful sunset. This picture was taken around midnight. We have now arrived at Kodiak. This is where the Kodiak bears are from. Apparently they are the second biggest bear in the world after the polar bear. We made it ashore at Kodiak, and now we're looking around, heading into town. There's the taxi we came in, and there's Alison over there waiting to go into Walmart. Very happy she is, having found somewhere else to shop other than a gift shop. This is actually a real bear, shot by somebody many years ago. We are now in Valdez, and this is the boat we'll be going on. We're going on a 100-kilometre trip to check out the Columbia Glacier. Have seen many dolphins at home, but it does seem different this time with this scenery in the background. These little fellas are sea otters. There's quite a lot of them around here. All our preparation has paid off, as the clothing we have packed and brought with us is quite warm in these conditions. This is it, the Columbia Glacier, and it is very spectacular indeed. Here we've got some seals sunning themselves on the rocks. And now the captain has kept his word. He did say we would see a whale or two. Now we are passing one of the tenders, heading back to the ship. In another half an hour or so, we'll be on one. Back on the ship now, heading for Juneau, which is the capital of Alaska. We are now at Juneau, and we are here to 8:30 tonight, so we do have a few activities planned for this port. The first place we decided to head to is the Mendenhall Glacier. From the visitor centre, we were able to see mountain goats grazing on the mountainside. The Mendenhall Glacier is a retreating glacier. So in 1935, where I am now, I would be standing on it. This is Nugget Falls. We are now back in town and going on the Gold Belt tram, which will take us 550 metres above the city to give us some spectacular views of the surrounds. Next on our list is to have a joint Alaskan king crab leg for lunch. And finally, the last thing on our list is to go for a seaplane flight over the glaciers. Well, being up here really shows you how monstrous these things really are and how wild and beautiful the wilderness out here really is. This flight is my birthday present from Alison, and it was really something. And why not? Let's go to the saloon before we go back to the ship. Now we are at Skagway for what promises to be a highlight of the whole trip, a journey on the White Path Railway from Skagway to White Pass.
We're underway on the White Pass Railway.
The further we go, the terrain gets more wild and rugged. This railway was built over 100 years ago to get the miners from Skagway up to the goldfields. It has been a very steep climb, and the higher we get, the more snow there is on the ground. and now we've actually got snow outside, and as you can see, it is getting deeper on the ground. I did expect this trip to be good, but it actually exceeded my expectations. Now we are back at the township of Skagway to check it out and for Alison to do some shopping. The Red Onion Saloon was a brothel in the old days. We went in to have a cup of coffee. Today we are cruising Glacier Bay. We do not leave the ship here, but all the cruise experts say that this is a must for any Alaskan itinerary. This is Marjorie Glacier. It is a mile wide in parts. There's Alison being the photographer, capturing some incredible pictures of me. Now here we have another Holland America ship sailing in to visit us. This is Land Plough Glacier, and right next to it is Mount Cooper. There's Alison enjoying her special Holland America pea soup as we watch the glacier. Good? This is called calving. It's when the ice breaks away from the glacier and falls into the water. Now here is a few locals taking advantage of the floating ice. And we have other types of wildlife that seems to be attracted by us being here. Leaving Glacier Bay now, and I do agree with the experts. It is a place you should look for on your itinerary when you book an Alaska cruise. Today we are visiting Wrangell. It is only a small town of about 2,000 people, but they call it a hidden gem in the wilderness. No doubt about her, Alison always meets the most interesting people. Here we have what's called the carving shed. The man here makes and repairs totem poles. In the afternoon, we had a guided tour of the town and nearby areas. These stones are called petroglyphs and are said to date back over 8,000 years. The last part of the tour takes us to the Visitor Centre, which has a really good museum filled with many historical items from the town's past. Today it's Ketchikan, which is the last stop of the cruise. Here we get to walk through a national park, which is dotted with many totem poles and has a tribal meeting house in the middle. And we have another museum to check out, which has many items from this town's history, including a Gatling gun. Now we're going to the Great Alaskan Lumberjack Show.
Make some noise, Bruce! And there we
A lot of this town is built over the water, which makes it very visually appealing. And of course, being an old mining town, it had to have a brothel. And being in Alaska, it had to have a river for the salmon to swim up. Today is our last day on the ship, and it will be spent cruising through the Inside Passage, which is very scenic. We have a tugboat here, and he's towing hundreds of logs tied together. This is our cabin stewards, and this is our cabin. Me, after winning a small fortune, very small.
Yum 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 yummy.
We are back in Vancouver, staying on Robertson Street at the Blue Horizon Hotel, and it does have a very good view. Right in the middle of the shopping district, food areas and entertainment. Very well situated. This time in Vancouver, instead of staying in the main downtown district, we decided to do a few day trips. The first one was a trip to Whistler. The first stop was the Sea to Sky gondola. Takes us up 885 metres. Unfortunately, it was raining this day. The view was cut a fair bit.
The nature at work here that have shaped the Pacific Northwest, made it so beautiful. There are three.
Today was the last day of the ski season. Then they swap over to mountain biking. On the way back to Vancouver, the driver took us to Jack's place from the TV series Virgin River. And this is the river from many scenes of the show. Next we stop at Shannon Falls, the second biggest waterfall in Canada. Next day we are taking a ferry ride to Victoria. It's another popular city in British Columbia. On the way to Victoria, we stop at Bouchard Gardens, which is 121 years old and takes up 55 acres. The displays in this place are breathtaking. Now at Victoria and have been dropped off at a particularly nice spot and have 2 hours of free time to walk around. For lunch we decided to have our last serving of halibut from a tiny little fish shop on the wharf. This is the ferry back to Vancouver. It is the last day before we fly home, and have decided to head over to Granville Island, another place that we have heard a lot about. And for lunch, we decided to have another seafood specialty from the area, a salmon chowder pie. This will be our last boat trip of the whole holiday. A beautiful sunset for the last night. About an hour before we head to the airport, so having a coffee across the road from the hotel. It's all over, waiting for our flight again. This time it's a 15.5-hour flight back to Sydney.